From the ashes of the Roman Empire, where emperors once ruled with iron and blood, a new empire rose, one not of armies and swords, but of faith and gold. As the legions fell silent and the marble statues crumbled, the church stood unbroken. In the heart of Rome, beneath the shadow of St. Peter's Basilica, began a story unlike any other, the gathering of divine power, the accumulation of unimaginable wealth, the gold of the popes. Christians were hunted, their gatherings secret, their treasures few. But as the centuries turned, persecution became privilege. Constantine's conversion in the 4th century changed everything. The cross replaced the eagle, the sword was baptized, and the church, once humble and persecuted, became the heir to Rome's imperial authority. The temples of Jupiter became churches of Christ, and with them came lands, taxes, and gold. By the Middle Ages, the church was no longer merely spiritual. It owned a third of Europe's land. Kings knelt before popes. Crowns were granted or stripped at the will of Rome. Cathedrals rose like mountains of stone, each block paid for by the faithful, each donation a piece of heaven bought with earthly coin. Indulgences, offerings, relics, the business of salvation turned into the machinery of wealth. The faithful gave in faith, the church grew in power. Pilgrims from across the known world poured into the holy city, carrying coins from every kingdom. Gold from the British Isles, silver from the German states, jewels from the East, all found their way into the Vatican's treasuries. And beneath the shining domes of St. Peter's, vaults grew deep and heavy. Monks wrote in silence, while the sound of coins echoed through the centuries. But gold, like power, attracts shadows. By the 13th century, the church's wealth rivaled that of kings, and with that wealth came corruption. The popes became princes. The Vatican, once a house of prayer, became a palace of politics. Cardinals schemed like courtiers. Alliances were bought. Wars were funded, all in the name of God. The Renaissance transformed Rome into the golden city of the world. Michelangelo painted the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel not only for the glory of God, but for the glory of wealth. The popes of that era, Julius II, Leo X, spent fortunes on art, architecture, and war. The same gold that built St. Peter's Basilica also lit the flames of the Reformation. Martin Luther's hammer struck not only at theology, but at the coins falling into Rome's coffers. As the centuries rolled forward, the church's fortune spread far beyond its walls. Missionaries carried not only the word of God, but the economic interests of Europe. From the gold of the New World to the silver of the Andes, wealth poured into the hands of monarchs who knelt before the Vatican. The church blessed expeditions and baptized conquests. The cross and the coin marched side by side. By the time of Napoleon, the Vatican's treasure had become a legend. When French soldiers invaded Rome in 1798, they looted what they could find: golden chalices, relics, manuscripts. But the true treasure was hidden. The church, it was said, had moved its wealth into secret vaults and foreign banks, its riches scattered like sacred seeds across the world. Napoleon took the Pope's crown. He never found the Pope's gold. In the 19th century, as Italy united and the Papal States fell, the Church faced its greatest crisis of wealth and power. Stripped of lands, besieged by modern politics, the Vatican seemed on the edge of ruin. But in the shadows, a new plan was forming, a financial resurrection. When Mussolini came to power, he struck a deal known as the Lateran Treaty of 1929. In exchange for recognizing the new Italian state, the Vatican received massive compensation, millions in cash, billions in today's value, and became, once again, sovereign. From that moment, the Vatican Bank was born. Officially known as the Institute for the Works of Religion, the Vatican Bank was created not just to manage church funds, but to protect them, beyond the reach of nations, beyond the eyes of the world. Hidden accounts, offshore investments, and discreet transfers turned faith into finance. The church became a player in the modern economy, buying stocks, funding companies, and even owning property through coded corporations. Yet behind the marble and gold, darker stories whispered. The Vatican Bank became entangled with scandals, from the mysterious death of banker Roberto Calvi, found hanging under Blackfriars Bridge in London, to the collapse of Banco Ambrosiano, tied to mafia money and secret lodges. Each scandal revealed a glimpse of the hidden network of power, where priests met politicians and divine mission blended with earthly ambition. Even today, in the digital age, the gold of the popes remains a living mystery. Vatican City, the smallest state on earth, holds vast, untold assets, investments in global markets, priceless art locked within museum walls, and treasures never seen by the public. Some estimate the church's total wealth in the hundreds of billions. Others say the true fortune lies not in money, but in influence. The power to shape nations, silence wars, and steer the soul of civilization. But behind every piece of gold, there is faith. For 2,000 years, believers have given, built, and prayed, not for wealth, but for eternity. The gold of the popes, then, is both symbol and secret, the weight of history, the price of salvation, the legacy of an empire that never fell. As the sun sets over St. Peter's Dome, its golden light spreads across Rome, reflecting not just on marble and mosaic, but on centuries of belief, ambition, and mystery. The church endures, richer than kings, older than empires, and still guarding its greatest secret, how faith built fortune, and how fortune kept faith alive. For in the vaults beneath the Vatican lies not just treasure, but the history of the world, written in gold, sealed by time, and watched over by the silent eyes of eternity.